Thank you, Leslie. As Leslie said, I'm an assistant vice president with technology services. The title, strategic alliances and partnerships, doesn't really describe very well exactly what I do. I'm responsible for client services and support for mainly all of the business units, the non-academic units. And as part of that, I am the IT liaison with the Division of Research. So I sit on that Division of Research leadership team just to listen and provide input and support however I can. When Leslie asked me to do this presentation, I was excited about it because we have so many services that we offer that I think a lot of people just don't know about, and they don't know how to find, difficult to find. I was starting to put together a presentation with a whole bunch of static slides, and then just thought that it would probably be a better idea just to do this by stepping y'all through our new website. It's recently been redesigned. The old website was just information overload. Everything was on there, but it was difficult to find. So our wonderful communications team has redone the website, just focusing on services and services for particular audiences. So I'm going to step through. Please make note of your questions. There's going to be plenty of time left over for questions, and I anticipate there being several. So we'll go ahead and get started. So as I mentioned, this is our new IT website. As you can see, it's very clean, not a whole lot on here. We've got just different things for students, employees, and faculty. We're going to go into some of these things in detail, but it's very clean, easy to find things. So first, I'm going to talk a little bit about technology services as a whole. So in 2022, as part of IT centralization, we had a little over 30 unique separate IT groups that were centralized into one group. So the college and division IT groups, their IT directors basically started reporting up instead of through the dean or VP through a central IT organization. For the most part, those local groups in those areas remained intact. There was some movement, but mainly they were left intact. Like, for example, some of the application developers moved up to a central group, that sort of thing. So we are led by Ed Pearson, who is our vice president and chief information officer. He was previously the IT director and CIO for Tees and College of Engineering before centralization. So just a quick look at our functional org chart. So, and we've got several different groups. IT enterprise operations, they are responsible for our help desk central, computer labs, classroom audio and conference room audio video, also for running all of our server ops. So they run Aggie Cloud and many of the other things that I'll be talking about. We've got enterprise application services that manage Canvas, Howdy, all of those different things for academic and large, so like Zoom. Also, they support Adobe. IT security, architecture, and engineering. Those are our enterprise architects and engineers who are constantly looking to design the next futuristic type things like AI. We've got the network, research and education network. That's the network engineering, product management, communications, strategic alliances and partnerships, which that's, as I mentioned, that's my group, academic operations, IT transformation, and strategic management. Strategic management is where our project management office lives. So academic operations is led by a gentleman by the name of Mitch Whitnaben. Mitch is an AVP and my counterpart on the academic side. So all of your college IT groups, they report up to him. There's also a link to, let's go back here, local IT support. So as I mentioned, each one of your colleges or groups has a local IT support team. And each of those teams has a specific way that you can contact them directly. And here is a list. If you click on you probably already know how to get a hold of them, but from our website, you can get details on all of them, on how phone numbers, email addresses to reach out directly to them. So just a little quick note about IT governance. So we are currently redesigning our IT governance structure based on some recommendations from a consulting group that we have had in here for several months, helping us out with some organizational things. So these committees may not be structured like this here in a few months, but we are going to have a better governance program. We are always needing faculty and researchers to serve on governance. A lot of times everybody's so busy, it's difficult to get people that want to serve. And sometimes the people that do volunteer they volunteer to solve a particular problem that they may have and not necessarily, to help advance the overall group. So as the new governance structure goes into place over the next probably, start out the beginning of next year, you'll be hearing more about that. And please consider volunteering to serve on one of those governance committees. And one more thing from the About section, we have our strategic initiatives. This page highlights some of the larger projects that we've got going on. Next Generation Aggie Network, it's been about a $70 million project to upgrade our enterprise network across campus. It was sort of a hodgepodge patchwork quilt, if you will, of different segments and pieces that was really difficult and expensive to hold together. And they have been spending the last few years upgrading that. And then we've got our AI initiative and some other ones here that if you click on, you can get a lot more details about it. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail on that now. Okay, I'm going to go back to the main screen here. So at the top, we have popular login. So if you click on this, here is Gmail, Outlook, Howdy, some logins to some of the major applications that we have. And then we have our quick to get help. Now this get help will take you straight to our Help Desk Central. Our Help Desk Central, they handle all of the student support calls, as well as faculty and staff. There's certain things that your local IT unit can't do, like maybe reset NetID passwords, things like that they will direct you to Help Desk Central to do. So we're going to click on this link. You can see you can chat with them, email, call, you can submit a ticket, or you can visit them at their desk. So they are located in the Computer Support Center, which is attached to Teague, which is the building is right across from the O&M building, the big tall tower. So it's kind of on the east side of campus there, close to Texas. Make sure I'm following my outline here and not getting ahead of myself. So we use a ticketing system all across campus called Team Dynamics. Now that's something that earlier this year we completed and got every unit on the same ticketing system, which has been very beneficial to be able to assign tickets to different groups, keep track of everything, make sure nothing falls through the cracks. So just going to real quick show you the portal of this. So as I mentioned, each of the local IT support groups are going to have specific ways you can reach out to them, and that may be an email address that goes into the ticketing system and emails them. But you can also submit tickets through the portal, through a service catalog. And depending on what the ticket is for, if it's for Wi-Fi support, for example, submitting a ticket for Wi-Fi support through the portal is going to get you faster support because it's going to send that ticket directly to the Wi-Fi team rather than a general email that then has to be manually routed and assigned to that team. One of the advantages of the portal as well is you can log in to see your tickets. So if you've got multiple tickets, see, I've got one here. You will get, if you submit a ticket, you will get email updates, but you can also always come to the portal and look at all of your tickets as well. Another thing we have on the help website is our IT status and alerts page. So this is where we post if there's any maintenance going on or if there's any outages. You can see we have just different menus here, core service, whether operational. If we have services that are degraded, you'll see degraded. It'll be red, yellow, green. You see computer labs here. It says under maintenance. And here's schedule maintenance. You can subscribe to alerts. Right now, you can subscribe to just certain things like network, Howdy, Canvas, I believe. We are working on refining that so it can be much more granular. Like if you only want to get network alerts for a particular part of campus, in the future, you'll be able to do that. I don't have a timeline on that, but they are working on that. That's been a big request over the years from folks. And now with this new software we're using, we have the ability to do that. Let's see, T-service. So, okay, I already went through the popular logins and get help links. So you'll see over here, we have explore services. You can look at the services in a bunch of different ways, an A to Z list of them, every one of them that we have. So you can scroll through that just to get an idea. We have the log into services. So everything that we have to log into, you can quickly get to them from here. Services by category. So this is communication and collaboration. That would be Teams, Zoom, mobile computing, teaching, infrastructure, etc. What I'm really going to focus on today is the services for you. So this is something that's really new, that's designed from feedback of, I'm a researcher. What do I need to know? What's out there for me? I'm a faculty member. I'm a student. I'm an employee. What's out there for me? So I'm going to focus on the researchers on here, since y'all are on here because you're researchers. So one just quick thing to note before I go on and talk about this. The services I'm going to talk about here are the ones that are offered and provided by the central IT group. I always tell any researchers that I talk to, you reach out to your local IT team. They should be your first point of contact for anything you need for questions. There's going to be cases where they may have some localized resources available as well, like storage may be an example, or different things. So you want to talk to them to get an idea. They can, if not, they can point you to the right resources in central IT as well. The things I'm going to talk about today will be good to know, and knowing how to navigate this website will be good to know because you can ask them about some of the things you're going to see here. So as you can see on this research page, we've got, talks a little bit about cloud compute, storage, backups, some of the research tools, Qualtrics, Globus, a link to the HPRC, High Performance Research Computing website. The HPRC is managed and ran by the Division of Research. They collaborate with IT on different things, but the Division of Research under Hung Gao's team runs that service. And then I'm sure you've already heard a lot about that group. So we've got different services, again, links to the services A to Z. So I'm going to talk a little bit about cloud. So we have public cloud is like Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud. We have enterprise contracts with each one of those providers, which guarantees certain levels of service, allows us to use it for university confidential data, pricing, all of that kind of stuff. So if you want to use a public cloud service, you would access it through this website, through requesting a login to it and a subscription to it. And we have teams that can help walk you through that and get you on that. So as you can see, we have on every one of our service pages a data security compliance thing. So allowed data, we can have university confidential data in the public cloud. All of the providers we have business agreements with that allow us to do that. So FERPA is allowed. HIPAA is use caution. So, and I would say if you have a project that you want to use public cloud for, that You're going to have HIPAA data. You will want to consult with one of the enterprise compute consultants or one of our security and compliance folks. And I think I saw a couple of names on here. So if I get questions about that later, I may call on them to help me answer that. I'm not an expert in that area. Okay, we're going to go back. We're going to go private cloud. So private cloud is basically cloud computing that we host in our data center. So it stays within the Texas A&M network. And we call it Aggie Cloud. It's just a huge virtual cluster that allows you basically to do many of the same things that you can do with an AWS or a Microsoft Azure as far as virtualization goes, rapidly spinning up and shutting down resources. And you can see the data security compliance because that data stays within the Texas A&M network and protected. We say HIPAA is allowed. So again, I don't have. It really depends on what projects you have going on and which service would be the best for you. You would just want to consult with somebody, or you may have that expertise as well. And you can see for the private cloud, going back to the public cloud, costs are really hard to predict in public cloud. Each of the services, AWS, Microsoft, they have calculators that you can use to go in there and plug in what you think you're going to need, how many processors, how much storage you're going to need, how many transactions you think you're going to have. But then we use an application called Kion that is a dashboard that monitors your costs daily. So if you have something in the public cloud, I know research dollars, you only have a certain amount that you may have in a grant to spend. You can really keep a close eye on it. Aggie Cloud is sort of like that, but it is a little bit more predictable. We can tell you with a little more granularity on how much something would cost. One of the things, you're not paying for data going up and down like you sometimes do in the public cloud. So here's cost. These rates are based on, I'm not sure if these have been updated yet to the FY26 rates. There is a link at the bottom to go to billing and rates that will take you to the latest, but they may be. I didn't take time to compare them. But you can see the service website. It just tells you several of the different features on here. Okay. So I'm going to go back. Now we're going to go to the enterprise compute environment site. So again, this is just a high level. So the enterprise compute environment, a little bit of details. It is a public cloud environment that is optimized for research. It's got some different types of controls in place in order to help and enable whatever your research projects have going on. This was started several years ago in the HSC to work some of the research projects they have, but it has been expanded to the rest of the campus now. Get to that website. Okay, this website is Enterprise Compute website. It goes into detail about what it is. You can click and see how we work with you, which means if you reach out to a consultant and somebody meets with you, what we will be doing, what you can expect, who we serve, and some case studies of research projects that have been done on the enterprise compute within that environment. Go back again. One more time. Okay, so IT security resources. Again, I am not an expert in this area at all, but as you know, there is just a whole bunch of regulations, system policies, controls that police or monitor the research, especially the research data and what is going on. There's a lot of information on here, and it is changing all of the time based on what the federal government's doing, the state government is doing. So I know it's hard to keep up with, but We are all required to know what the guidelines are, what the laws are, the rules are. So there's a lot of information, links here to that kind of that information. And it's IT's job to enforce the policies, I would say, or at least to notify you or somebody else whenever the guidelines are being met. Sometimes things may take a while to get approved because we're having to make sure that they meet the requirements of the grants or different governments or SAPs or system regulations. So we will work with you on that always to advise you on different ways that we can meet your goals. You can meet your goals. So one of the helpful links on here is data classification. I know data classification oftentimes is that thing that triggers what kind of storage you need to use or what kind of compute you need to use. So there's some information on the different types of data. Won't go into detail on that, as I said, but there is a tool down here, a data classification calculator, that may or may not be helpful, especially if you're asked to submit something on what your data classification is. You can use this. I'm going to just walk through one real quick. Just do test just to show you what it does. So it's going to ask a series of questions. I'm not going to go through them all. I'm just going to answer them. Let's see, it is drafts. Say no. So then it tells me the classification is critical. You can download this report, and it's going to spit out a PDF here that goes through it all. So if you're ever asked to submit this, here's a PDF you can submit with whatever project that you are doing. Okay. Another quick note about storage. So we also offer through our Microsoft and Google contracts storage. So we have through Microsoft, we have OneDrive and we have SharePoint. So Microsoft and Google have over the last year changed the way they provide storage to higher ed. Previously, we could have as much as we want and they didn't charge us. But in the last year, they have started to restrict how much we get by default and then charge us for anything above. So we've had to launch some sustainability projects where we've had to put quotas on certain things and then offer additional storage purchases through our store. So just quickly going through this. So OneDrive and Microsoft is the personal, just like your personal drive, where you're going to keep working documents that are not necessarily need to be shared with a department or are private to you. This talks about the quota that everybody gets by default on that. OneDrive storage is not expandable. So when you get your quota, once you use that, you need to archive or move them or delete in order to keep being able to use it. Then there's SharePoint and Teams storage. So SharePoint is more designed for documents that maybe a group is working on. So your research team or your department in your college are working on. You can use it to store files that you're not sharing with anybody else. So there are some folks that will get a SharePoint site just to use as an extension of their OneDrive. It's not really what it's designed for, but it does work for that area. And you can see the prices here. It's not that expensive. A terabyte for $360 a year. Terabytes go a very long way. I know research data can accumulate very quickly as well. So 10 terabyte is the largest we have on here. SharePoint sites will expand up to 25 terabytes. So you could have multiple 10 terabyte or purchases or combinations of. So then Google, it's the same sort of thing. Google Drive is your personal storage, like OneDrive. Then Google Shares. Shared drives is the equivalent to SharePoint. So it's larger drives that are designed more. And whenever you create a SharePoint site or a drive, you are asked to provide a backup manager. So should something happen to you, you have a backup that will maintain access to that data should you leave the university for whatever reason. So another way you can get information on these things is through these services. So if you go to service A to Z, click on G. So you've got Google Apps. You can get all of that information directly from here. And these service pages are really nice because they've got a lot of detail on them, and they will always give you the data security compliance allowed on them. So if you're curious, you can come to that service page. There's also cost details, how to get specific support, what teams operate it, that sort of thing. Okay. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about AI here at Texas A&M. I know if you're in IT, if you're in research, if you're faculty, I mean, if you're a high school student, probably you can't go a day without hearing AI. May not be able to go an hour without hearing something AI. Some of it's helpful, some of it's not. Texas A&M is like all the other universities out there. We are rapidly working on developing AI tools, policies. Each of the different groups is trying to figure out how AI can benefit them. So I'm going to talk through some of the available AI tools, and this is changing so quickly, so rapidly. So you'll want to probably check back on the AI websites often to see the latest things. So first, just from the AI services page, scrolling through the website, we're going to get into some of these things in detail, but we have some free AI tools, Copilot Chat. So Copilot Chat is basically built in to on the Microsoft browser Edge. Couldn't think of it there for a second. So it's built into that. We have Google Gemini and Notebook LM, which is also a Google product. We have some subscription-based tools, Microsoft 365 Copilot, which is a paid subscription that basically attaches to all of your Office programs and Teams and just provides you can create PowerPoint slides for you. It can help write emails, monitor email box, a whole bunch of different things like that. Then we have Microsoft Teams Premium, that is basically the Teams AI companion for a little bit more advanced transcripts, recordings, intelligent, what's the to-do list, things like that. I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but summaries, chat summaries. Okay, we're going to compare a little bit. So this compares all of the different offerings that we have, both paid and free. Tells you a little bit about what they can do, whether their cost is, who they're for. So we talked a little bit about this, about all these free ones. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about Tamu AI Chat here in just a minute. Go back. We also have some AI-enabled development tools, development platforms you can use here, development hubs. I know we have a lot of research going on these different tools, of course. So then we have some AI services that are under review. So under review means they're just being, like it says, looked at for security, usability, cost, contract details. AI is changing so quickly where we're always going to be, there's always going to be new products out there that we have to analyze and make sure are safe for Texas A&M to use. And we'll say a little bit about that. So there is a system regulation on that basically says the only AI models and tools that we can use are ones that the system has an enterprise contract with. Um, Enterprise contracts take a while, right? So that new tool that's out there, or even ones that have been around a while, Otter is one I've heard a lot of feedback on that faculty and researchers really love to use. It's very helpful. We don't have yet an enterprise contract for it. So technically, we are not allowed to use something like Otter, only the ones that are on the AI website. So if there is a tool like that that comes up that you really want to use, talk to your local IT group or email one of the help links on our website. We can do some research and we can ask the system to look at getting an enterprise agreement with them so that tool could be enabled for use. Okay, we're gonna up here. So the AI training under AI resources takes you to a LinkedIn page. Um, Guidelines and ethics we talked about. It's changing so much. We all need to just constantly be aware of the guidelines, the rules, laws, policies on AI. They're going to be, they're always changing, going to be changing a lot. AI at Texas A&M, which we've already talked a little bit about. Prohibited use of AI, as I mentioned before. So we're going to go to Tamu AI Chat. So Tamu AI Chat is a private chat environment that was developed by our architecture and engineering team here at Texas A&M with the goal of a protected environment that students, faculty, staff, researchers can use, that your data stays local. It doesn't go up to train global AI models. Any data you put into it is not going to be discovered, and be on Chat GPT's public model for other people to find. So that was the goal in creating this, and it is partially system funded, so it's going to be available to every system member. Currently, as you can see on this system landing page, we have chat.tamu.ai, so it's available for us, and then TTI has theirs. And our team is working with each of the institutions to get their authentication models connected to it. So documentation, I would certainly recommend checking out the documentation on this before using it. It goes through all of the different usage allowance. So it's just like the ChatGPT and Gemini and others. You have a default amount of tokens assigned to you that you can use on a limit. There will be a chargeback or paid model to this once it goes out of beta and is available. So you will be able to buy additional tokens for different things that you want to do. One of the advantages of using this tool is there is multiple models available on there. And I know the different models, some of them specialize in different things. I am not an expert in it at all, but I know a lot of people say that Claude is really good for helping develop code, programming language, and evaluating those sorts of things. And of course, Gemini and GPT are just some of the more common ones that public folks use. Llama is an open source one. And then I don't know much about the O3 and O4. But this gives you a little bit of idea on how the tokens work, how much they cost, all of that sort of thing. So I certainly recommend you going through the documentation before jumping out to actually use it. So, but we are going to go ahead and log into it. So you'll see when you log in, every time you're going to have a couple of info things on here. Even though it is available to everybody, it is still technically in beta mode. So our engineering team is always looking for feedback. So if you run into any problems, sort of any bugs, any ideas, suggestions, anything like that, email them to aichat@tamu.edu. Then you had the obligatory just warning on there telling you that this is the property of Texas A&M, etc. So as I mentioned, one of the advantages of this TAMU AI chat, besides it being private to Texas A&M, is you can compare models. So you can click the drop down, you can select the different models, say GPT-5. We'll go with Claude Sonnet 4. Then it's got the two symbols up here, so you know you're comparing these two. Then you can just run a prompt against them both. So we'll just click on tell me about research, Texas A&M research impact. So to put them side by side, it looks kind of like a race. Like Claude was the first out of the gate, and GPT still thinking. This doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the performance of the model. It probably doesn't have anything to do with it, but just, you know, the timing of the communication pipelines. All right. Well, GPT is not showing up and showing out for us this time. But as you can see, Claude here, whenever you can do these models side by side and evaluate maybe which response you like better, and use that. It's a good way too to test the different tools to find out what each of them are good at, what they're strong at. So if you're comparing these models, this would be a good example. If you sit here for just a minute or so and GPT-5 does not respond, you could send a note to that AI chat and just report that, you know, GPT-5 is not running. You can also do a resend, and sometimes that will help. All right. I'm going to let that run and just move on to some of the other things. So y'all may have heard that at the beginning of year, the TAMU system invested in about $45 million in some NVIDIA SuperPods, which are just big GPU clusters. So we've got, I think, 3 pods for a total of 760 DGX H200 GPUs. We're currently retrofitting the data center, upgrading the data center to be able to handle the power and cooling needs for those. They will be on site and start to be installed. I think later this week or next week, the semi trucks will start showing up. It's going to be one of the largest higher education AI supercomputers in the country as of now. So there's a lot of opportunity. A lot of people are excited about it. The goal is to have it available for use sometime in the March timeframe. We've ran into some supply issues, some delays with getting the equipment we need for the data center. So our goal is March, and we hope that it could be ready earlier, but we're certainly hoping by March. And it's very early in this project, so there's going to be a lot more to come out as the project continues to develop. And this is going to be operated by Texas A&M Technology Services, but with a strong partnership and collaboration with the Division of Research, especially the High Performance Research Computing Group. So that's everything I had. Oh, there's GPT-5 showing up finally. Just thinking a little harder. But that's all I had for my presentation today.
While you're reading this, Chris, I just want to interject and say thank you for your presentation. I'm with the cloud operations team within Technology Services. You touched on it a little bit. One of the things I really wanted to make sure was highlighted is the consultation process Part of our combination of all the programs, we really thought about how we can best interact with the researchers at the university. And a lot of it comes down to we think everyone needs the opportunity to talk to us one-on-one of what their project and ideas are and how, and maybe get some insight of what we think might be the best way to help deploy or engage in their project. Because at the end of the day, we don't want people to feel like they're on their own. We want them to feel like they have an ally within technology services. So we put this consultation process together to help aid researchers because it's a lot for a researcher to understand. Hey, here's the rules, regulations, here's the security policies. We want to try to make things as simple as possible and provide good feedback and good ways to move forward on ideas and projects. So if a researcher has an idea, we'd love to hear that. So please reach out to us at any time with anything we can help with too.